All right. Hello again, everyone. It is I, the Keg Slayer, back with you again. We have kicked Ben out of our videos for this last one that Carl and I did, and then this one. We obviously could not have Ben doing a projection on his own team. And Carl and I are the best suited to do a fair analysis of his team. So welcome
Absolutely
in
fair.
again, Carl.
Thank you. We will absolutely be fair and unbiased.
Unbiased, yes. This
And
actual
downright
video,
kind to Ben, frankly.
this will be the shortest video to date because when we do these love and loathe segments, we can look at Ben's entire team and we can both say we loathe every pick. He's got the worst team in the league. He is going to come in dead last. He won't make the playoffs. And his reign as being a playoff team the first 3 years will be no more. So with that said, thank you for joining us. That's been a real fun talking with you, Carl. We'll see you next time.
Great.
If only that could be the case. We will take just a quick look at Ben's entire picks here real quick, starting off with his first 6 picks. Breece Hall, Puka Nacua, Drake London, James Cook, Anthony Richardson, Trey McBride. The Puka Nacua pick, I think, was a given for Ben. I think he was going to pick that no matter what. I'm surprised he didn't take him in the first round, but he had picks so close together that it worked out. He could wait to get him in the second round. He definitely wasn't not going to take Puka in the second.
Right. I don't know. I think Puka was a good pick, especially based on what he did last year. I do have some questions about whether we'll see some regression out of him in his second year. But given everything that was happening around where he went, I think Puka was a pretty good pick there. Breece Hall obviously was a good one, no doubt about it. I personally did not love the Drake London pick. I understand why he went with it. Like I see this is a very talented player. He's a couple years in the league now, so you shouldn't have to worry about rookie concerns at this point. Obviously, he got new quarterback in Kirk Cousins, so new coach who's actually going to let them throw the ball. It's like I see what he's doing. I just think it's a lot of projection that early, and I personally would be afraid of it.
Yeah, he definitely could have had somebody that was a little bit more solid foundationally, and we know what we can expect out of him year after year in that spot. He could have had Deebo Samuel there in that spot and not had to worry about what may or may not happen in Atlanta.
Right. The Cook and McBride, both good picks. Not a lot to say there. Yep. The other one is Richardson.
Yes, that one really kind of left both of us wondering what he was
scratching
thinking.
our head a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's funny. I've talked with him about it a little bit too, and he's pretty much said something similar. That once came back after the draft and looked at it again and saw, oh, Lamar Jackson was still there, Joe Burrow was still there, like all of the players that were still available. It's like, well, maybe was a little overzealous grabbing Anthony Richardson there. Like I think it's a good pick. He's a good player. I just think he was early on it.
Yeah, I don't mind having Richardson on a team if I were to draft him. Had I, had a similar look at who was still available when I took him, I would not be happy with taking him where Ben did.
Yeah, it just a value issue here.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, first 6 rounds, fairly solid. Not too much to talk down again or talk down on, unfortunately. Going on to rounds 7 through 12. Here he, I think, had a little bit more issue with some of his picks.
Yeah. The one that I really want to highlight is Danielle Hunter. A little bit like Richardson. Good player, probably going to be a good asset for his team. Not a good value. You look later on in that same round, Myles Garrett was still on the board. Micah Parsons was still on the board. Nick Bosa was still on the board. I do not like taking Hunter when those three guys are still available. And yeah, I think he went too soon with Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you and I talked a little bit before we started recording about the Amari Cooper pick. We're not quite on the same page. I'm not a big fan of the Amari Cooper pick there. Again, decent player. I mean, he's going to be a solid player. I just in a dynasty style league, I would have rather had Deebo Samuel where he took Drake London to have that, foundation wide receiver where I can know what to expect out of him than I would have an Amari Cooper here.
Sure. A little more youth and upside.
Yep.
Makes sense. Similar thing with Bobby Wagner. I think Bobby Wagner is a fine pick, but old as dirt.
Dude's getting old.
You can pretty much lock him in for this year, so certainly not a bad pick there.
Yeah, no, not at all. The one pick that really is glaring, and it is only glaring because we are looking at it in hindsight, is that Hassan Reddick pick.
Yes.
A player that's still holding out for his team can't be projected to be starting week 1 at this point. Hasn't done anything in the offseason with his team.
And is no longer on Ben.
Yeah, not on Ben's team. So taking that
benefit of hindsight, that definitely didn't work out.
Yes, unfortunately, it did not. In the moment, it looked like a fine pick. Reddick is a very solid defensive lineman if he's going to see the field.
Right. Yep.
Which brings us to anything else in those rounds, Sir Carr?
Well, there's not much to be said about Zamir White or Alex Singleton.
No, fine picks.
Yep, perfectly cromulent.
So we move on to the back end of his draft. 13th round, Jerome Ford, followed by Carmen Curl, DeAndre Hopkins, Kazir White, Brian Robinson, Rashid Shaheed, Tyrell Dodson, Kassan Nixon, Ty Chandler, Jaleel McLaughlin, Kimanini Vidal, and Junior Colson.
Well, I'll start with a couple picks that I liked. I think the Jerome Ford pick there, admittedly looking like it's probably a month or two pick, but it's 13th round. That's a starting running back for
at least 4 weeks.
For minimum of 4 weeks at this point. It came out this morning that it looks like Nick Chubb will start the season on the PUP list, so he's out for at least 4 weeks. So Ford, I don't know for sure what he'll do if at some point Chubb comes in and is ready to take the full load again. Ford may not be worth much down the stretch, but he's going to be a really good, solid running back for the first portion of the season at least. One other one I really like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, we mentioned in the previous video when we did Joe's team that you don't win the league at the draft. It's a good place to start, and you need to draft in the mind frame of, all right, this is going to be my team for at least the first 3 to 4 weeks, and so taking that Jerome pick there with that in mind, I completely like it.
Yep. Another one that struck me as being a pretty damn good one was Rashid Shaheed. Easy for me to say, but he's been pretty damn solid as a player for years now and just kind of seems to hide under the radar a little bit. And I think taking him that late, 18th round, I think that's a really good pick.
Yeah, he's a great flex play almost every week.
So I think that was a really good one.
Yep. I mean, just looking at the rest of his picks here, a lot of them are, you're taking shots in the dark, seeing what happens. A lot of these players that he drafted in the late rounds here are going to churn from his roster. And that's exactly what you kind of want to do in a format of the league that we have. And you got to take a chance on some of these guys and commit to them for 1 to 2 weeks if they even make it to your roster by the start of the season, and see what happens.
Yeah. So, a lot of the back half of the draft here are players that I'm not necessarily excited about. It's a lot of question marks, but it's a lot of talent and potential. And so if 1 or 2 of them hit, it's probably, pretty good back half of the draft.
Yeah, so, absolutely. He's trying to find that player that's going to break out in week 2 that he already has on his roster, so nobody else can get that person off the waiver.
Yep, exactly. So all in all, I think Ben drafted pretty damn well. I will say with regard to his team itself, I have some I'll say some concerns about his depth a little bit. But all in all, I think it's a pretty solid roster.
Yeah. All joking aside, we would love to put Ben in the 12th position on his lovely slideshow of his projections, because that's still a question mark of who is in that spot, according to him. You and I would both love for him to put himself there. We both know he won't. He will most likely put himself in that number 1 spot. I don't think he deserves to be in that number 1 spot.
I don't either.
I would give him top 4.
Yeah, I was going to say, I certainly think top half of the league. Something that we've touched on a couple of different times throughout these videos is that, like, all in all, like top to bottom, the league is pretty tight.
It is.
Like there's, kind of a top clump and a middle clump type of thing, but it's we're fairly clumped together. So I'm pretty confident he's going to put himself in the 1 spot, and I could hear an argument for that. I also could make an argument for 6.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, it's going to be a fun season.
It should be a lot of fun.
A lot of moving in those rankings in the middle half of that season of our season, and once the playoffs get near, I think it's going to be really fun to watch to see what happens.
I do too. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, that I think wraps up what we have to say on Ben. Anything else, Carl, that you want to touch on as far as the league in general?
Well, I'll take this opportunity to make yet another reminder that contracts are due tomorrow, Tuesday, August 27th. Send them to Ryan, Ben, or myself, whichever you prefer. Doesn't really matter. We'll get them updated to the spreadsheet. 8 total contracts. 4 of them are 4-year contracts. The other 4 are 2-year contracts. So make sure you get those in by sometime.
Yeah, I know I've already gotten a couple of teams that have texted me their contracts. So we know that there are people paying attention to what's going on, which is good to hear.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Don't make me hunt you down. I don't want to have to hunt people down.
Right.
Please just send them in. Make this easy on us all.
Yes. Perfect. Well, it was good talking to you here today, Carl, for these couple of videos. Part 1 was that Joe video that we did, and then here in part 2. Always good to see you. Always good to talk to you. And we'll have to find a way to get together here at some point this season.
Yeah, I'm want to plan out a couple of trips back for this fall, and as I do that over the coming week or 2, I'll see what it's looking like and get in touch with you guys. Maybe we can get together to watch some football on a Sunday.
Yeah, sounds like a great plan. All right, Carl, we'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Ryan. See you guys.